Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to another Coffee and Christ on a Sunday morning. Michael and Jonathan will probably not be here. They are at Michael's bachelor party, and I hope they're having a fantastic time. And that means this week you're stuck with just me. Most likely, anyways. Our subject today is one that I have been thinking about for a long time, and that is acts of service. Now, I had a brief discussion with one of the fellas in our men's group yesterday about it. I've been talking with various people about it for months now, and I figured since it's just you and me, we can go over it. Now, in Matthew 20, 26, 28, Jesus redefines what greatness is. It says, whoever wishes to be great among you must be your servant, and whoever wishes to be first among you must be your slave, just as the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many. There's a lot of anxiety in the world, particularly among younger people, about what they're receiving from life. Ooh, I've got me a kahuna in the backstage.
You had me
Welcome,
hooked
Kahuna.
in, reeled me in like some sort of large fisherman. You've never seen
Yes.
a tuna light with marbling like this. Yes. How be you, my friend? Good morning.
Good morning. Doing well. So I was talking a little bit about acts of service, and I have a theory that this show is about. And I'll recap just a little bit for Kahuna while he was logging in. A lot of people, especially the younger people, young adults, those just getting into their life among the world, not as children anymore, about what they get from life.
Hmm.
There's anxiety. Why don't I have a girlfriend? I don't have enough friends. My social life is pretty lame. I just hang out and play video games or read books or whatever, and there's nothing wrong with that. But the fundamental thing that I've noticed as I've been thinking more and more about this and talking with people more and more about this every month thus far is that the moment you stop focusing on getting what you want and start giving what the people around you that you care about are looking for, that problem answers itself. It corrects itself. We have this weird mentality where we have to self evaluate, and a lot of
Constantly.
us go, I'm awesome, but you don't show it. Wouldn't it be infinitely better if instead of you having to say you're awesome every day, the people around you were telling you on a regular basis? And the only way they're going to do that is if you're being awesome for them, if you're showing up, if you're participating in the things that they're doing and successfully participating in the things that they're doing for the most part. It's okay to make mistakes, but especially men, we're goal oriented. We like accomplishment. We like be finished with the project and everybody looks at each other and goes, nice work. That's the level up moment for us. That's the Final Fantasy
Yeah.
victory fanfare.
And even hanging out with people, it's like, I don't know about you. I suspect you're the same way as I am. It's like, I don't go over to my buddy's house just to hang out. We're
Right.
doing stuff. There's a reason I'm there, which possibly contributes to why I don't see my friends as often as I should. But uh, I like to have
Well,
a goal
yeah.
for the
Well,
most part.
we were made by God to do things, in my opinion. And we were made by God to do things for one another. Another verse I have set aside here was um, Galatians 5:13-14.
Mm.
For you were called for freedom, brothers and sisters, but do not use this freedom as an opportunity for the flesh. Rather, serve one another through love. For the whole law is fulfilled in one statement, namely, you shall love your neighbor as yourself.
Yep, I read that verse again recently. I have the collected sermons of George Whitfield, and I've been reading through them piece by piece. And yeah, that I read
They're
that
great.
one. That was attached to one of his reels. I'm like, man, that guy was unafraid to say what he wanted to say. Holy smokes!
Well, that's the magic of it. Like, even a factor of things, people are afraid that they're going to say the wrong thing to each other, but you shouldn't. Be not afraid. Be who you are and apply who you are to the service of those around you that you care about, those in your immediate field. Like the constant talk of whether we know our neighbors anymore. Most people don't.
Yeah, I'd say that's true. I think part of that depends on where you live too. Some places have better community than others, surely, but obviously we all. It's like a well, it's a biblical principle, but it's in a Michael Jackson song, so I think of it that way for some reason. But be the change you want to see in the world. It's like I'm not gonna like. It's like not related, but it's like the AI talk when it comes to art and such. I'm not going to tell people how they should live. I'm not going to be prescriptive, but I'm not going to do things that I think are. I'm not going to do things that I think make the world worse, and I'm going to try to live that out as best I can. So if I think the world is worse, I think the world's art is made worse by the frequent use of AI instead of human creativity. Then I'm not going to use it with things that I think shouldn't be used, if that makes sense. And if I
No, it
want
makes
to
perfect
have
sense.
more, I want better neighbors. I better be a good neighbor. It's a real biblical, and it's a really seems like such a simple principle, but obviously simple things are not easy to live out necessarily.
As Jonathan always says, simple, not easy. Exactly. But that's the first step. I don't want to make the world worse. Then the next step should be, how am I making my world better? And I say my world specifically because the easy distraction is something 30 million miles away from me is happening, and I'm going to put all of my focus and attention on that instead of what's just outside my front door.
Yeah, absolutely. And there, I don't know. There's a lot to it. I had to have a difficult conversation with some family-ish yesterday, and I think I comported myself well. I think I didn't really want to have the conversation to begin with because I knew exactly how it would go. One person got super emotional, and I said a couple of things that were true, and that person got more emotional and had to have a person act as a human screen, I guess, to protect them. I'm not sure, but um, I'm like, I don't really want to have these kind of conversations, but I'd prefer a conversation where we look each other in the eye and we say the truth, and that's how we do it. You don't have to be unkind about it, and I don't think I
Yeah,
was,
say the
especially.
truth with love.
Yeah. And then obviously I got interrupted and wasn't allowed to finish even my statement, but that's how that goes sometimes. You do the best you can.
True. But the point being that you tried to say the truth with love. It wasn't like you were condemning the person, I assume. It was coming from a place of, I'm trying to serve you what you need, not what you want. But, if they're
Or at
not
least
ready
I'm
to hear it,
oh yeah, and it's like sometimes the truth people need is, or sometimes what's good for the other person is to hear not an unfiltered, like even if it's just my opinion about something, they need to hear what that is. I'm not going to sugarcoat it because that's not going to help you. Everybody around you sugarcoats everything.
Yeah,
Sometimes you need to be the person who's not going to say it with all the sprinkles attached, so to say.
exactly. I commonly, when my daughter and I, now that she's a fully grown adult out in the world, have conversations about things, and I feel like she's stumbling down the wrong path. My statement is always prefaced with, understand that I love you and I'm not trying to hurt you. I
Hmm.
need to tell you this. What you're doing, I think, is going to end in tears. I think you're going to hurt yourself. What you're doing right now, I don't believe is the right path. And
Yeah.
but none of that is because I'm telling you you're awful. It's because I don't want to see you get hurt. Ultimately, if you choose to continue doing this, that is up to you. I'm just trying to warn you.
Yep, and that goes back to something we've kind of talked about before, at least in regards to children. It's like the really weird thought is like we are responsible for our children largely, even once they are out of our direct kind of control and supervision. But ultimately, they're a gift. We're stewards of something God has made, and that belong to God ultimately. At some point, you've done what you can do, and God is the one who's gonna direct them and take them where they need to go. It doesn't mean you stop trying. It just means that I'm not sure. I'm not sure how to articulate the point I was trying to make, but I think you understand me.
Yeah. What I figured out, because I tried to apply, good morning, Maji-chan, tried to apply some memory of myself at the time, memory of me back when I was 24, which was when she was 2, and
Yeah.
I had conversations with my mother where I was like, well, I know what I'm doing, and what you're saying makes no sense. I try to apply that to my conversations with my daughter. Like, I know that in your head and your heart, you think you're doing the right thing. Oop, Christian's
Uh,
back.
that's my bad. I don't know how
It's
that
all good.
happened. I think I was trying to look at the comments while you're talking, and then I went, okay, I'll exit out of the comment. There's like, oh, you want to exit out of the program? Cool.
Technical difficulties. But what I was saying was, applying how I reacted to my mother doing the same thing as I do with my daughter, which is she's trying to impart the wisdom of ages. She has time served in the world that I don't. So she has her own perspective of the pitfalls that might be coming through. I say to my daughter, it's, I understand that you think you're doing the right thing. There's an acknowledgement there of the other person not being just sort of, you're my 24-year-old child. No, you're a 24-year-old adult that I raised.
Yeah.
And I know what you're thinking is right. I'm just trying to inspire you to look at it a little differently. And sometimes I have to use harsh words to do so.
Yeah.
It is what it is, but it's always done out of love and in service of her. And that's the whole point that I've been discussing so far on the program. It didn't hit me until about, I'd say maybe 9 months ago, not even a full year, that long before I started doing this, long before I even joined the men's group that we're in, my family regarded me as the grumpy one. I was just a miserable cuss. And once I started doing what I'm doing now, Whimsyland, coaching writers, editing their books, being of service to people
Hmm.
on a constant basis, where I'm doing something for them that they're struggling to do themselves and helping them grow into a better person. And then I joined the men's group, and the same thing happened. Slowly but surely, I stopped being so miserable.
Well,
Morning,
it's real
Draco.
like that. That's always the quickest cure to misery is to stop thinking about yourself.
Exactly. That's what I'm
You know,
getting at.
people hate to hear that often. It's like 'cause some of the most anxious, miserable people. I'm like, how about you just focus on other people? And most of the time they're just yelling. They're just talking about how, oh, it's because I'm focused too much on others. I'm like, I don't think that's true. I think you're focused on how others think of you.
I think
um,
you're trying, but I don't know that you're succeeding in doing so.
yeah, it's like even and I'm not like the bet like a good first step is to focus on another person and try to help other people in general. A better step is to focus on God and then let everything else outflow out of that. That's the Giga Chad like
Yes,
girl. Girls like me and men want to be me kind of strat there, but or it's like I love
absolutely.
that I love that like slight alteration to the statement. It's like the women wanted him, some of the men. What? Here you go, boy. Take his
Well,
dragon back.
what was so fascinating was over the years I've been working on the Tales of Halcyon Reforged, which is a uh, sort of adjusted rewrite with some illustrations of my very first attempt at publishing a novel, which ended up being a trilogy of novels. And
I remember finding that quite on accident when I was on your
yeah,
Amazon page one day.
yep. And so the original story with that was I was just trying to test how to do it because I didn't know how and nobody was around to teach me at the time. I couldn't find any, social media guidance. It was just books. So I read the books and tried to apply the knowledge. And, you know, my grandmother was very old when that book was finished and she desperately wanted to read it. So I set it up for large print and it was like, an 8 by 10 uh, manual sized book. And then I was like, okay, I can't alter this after I published it. So that was a mistake. I guess I just have to leave it until I redo it. So I finally redid it. But in doing so, I'm reading the book that I wrote way back then. And this theme pop just was in there already. One of the protagonist characters, Leanie, she's a 90-pound soaking wet teenage girl who is demanding that the world recognize her for being a great adventurer.
Ah,
And she doesn't become a great adventurer until she stops doing that and just starts applying herself to the other characters in the party.
or yeah, like in other words, being what you've claimed yourself to be already.
Exactly. We got some comments. Bill says, I'm supposed to be telling myself I'm awesome. I need to consult my magic hate ball about this.
You said Matt? Did he say magic hate ball?
Yes, magic hate ball. And Draco replied, first things first, destroy that magic hate ball. It's enemy equipment. That's correct.
Yep, absolutely. It's like it's one thing to convict and to try to hold a brother or sister accountable, but accusation is a tool of the enemy. It's not a tool of our loving
Well,
Christ.
yeah. And I wouldn't even go so far as to convict. You had it right in your second statement. I wouldn't convict. I would just point out the glaring flaw in what they're doing.
Well, yeah, because the Lord should be the one who convicts, not us, because we're
Yeah.
not we're not a perfect judge by any means, except for me, obviously.
I think we all think we're perfect judges in our head.
We all do until something goes so disastrously wrong that God has to tap us on the shoulder and be like, "I told you so." I don't
Yeah.
know why. He sounds like Morgan
What's the
Freeman now.
statement? Man plans and God laughs. Absolutely. So the fundamental point of this show uh, is to start considering serving those around you and start with the people that you love, the people that you care about, and then you can work your way out from there. Uh, Another perfect example in scripture, John 13, 1 through 17, that It's mostly kind of paraphrased, but Jesus rose from the Last Supper, took off his outer garments. He put a towel around himself, poured water into a basin, and he washed the feet of his disciples. And said, "If I, therefore, the master and teacher, have washed your feet, you ought to wash one another's feet. I've given you a model to follow, so that as I have done for you, you should also do."
It's a funny
Just
thing to say
because you're
right
good at
before he's about
something
to die
doesn't mean
for it.
you shouldn't be oriented towards helping the people around you.
Yeah. I think it takes a level of spiritual maturity before most people can start serving their enemies in a godly way. I think that takes
That's why I said start with the people you care about.
you don't start at level 50, you start at level 1. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's like I did some research into this a while back too. It's like it's easy to love the people. It's easy to serve the people you love. Even the Church of Satan preaches that. The difference in between the Satanic Bible and the Christian Bible is how you treat your enemies.
True.
Like obviously there are other differences, but like largely that's one of the more important differences, unfortunately.
Yep.
And
And that's the
nothing,
thing. Like just everything the enemy says is oriented toward the self.
yeah. It would sure serve you if you destroyed your enemies. You know, the ones who could hurt you again and the ones who will likely try to hurt you again.
Yeah, always oriented towards isolation.
Yep.
To a certain extent, isolation is okay. You should be able to enjoy the solitary moments of your life. Most people struggle with that. I leaned into it so hard that I got too comfortable in the solitary for a long time. But once I came out of that, I was able to enjoy being by myself and doing things for myself while having a mind towards the service of others.
A good friend of mine, a friend of mine named Daniel, different Daniel, ironically. Um,
That's because
he
Daniels are awesome.
they are they hang out with lions and then they walk like Bigfoot. It's cool. Actually, no, he's a tall son of a gun too. What is with it anyway? Um, but Dan. Oh, sorry, 1 second.
Take your time. I have yet to meet a short King Daniel.
No, it's always the younger brother of a Daniel who's short for some reason. But no, Daniel, he was talking about this. He and his father are both very introverted, more so than most other people, especially in their own family. And his father told him something that I don't know if I fully agree with, but I think there's some truth to it. I think it's valuable for those two, is that it's actually ungodly to use your introversion as an excuse to be isolationist with yourself, to be a solo artist, so to say. And so they both had to train themselves to be more social than they are naturally, because you
Yes,
can't serve others if you're just by yourself. And that's their kind of kingdom attitude towards that kind of thing. And I think for them especially, it was really valuable.
absolutely. I mean, if you follow the concept of God bringing balance to everything that we have in the world, including ourselves, then there should be balance between the polarities of what you do. If you are an introvert, then it is in your best interest to at least practice some extroversion. If you're an extrovert, it's in your best interest to learn how to be comfortable by yourself. You know, it's the things that we're good at are easy.
Yeah,
The
it's
things that are hard for us are the things that we should be doing for our own betterment and for the betterment of others.
yeah, absolutely. It's like for me, I'm definitely more of an extrovert. I've started getting to a place where I believe majority of the time I'm okay when I'm not with other people. For a long time, I was by myself a lot, but I was not okay with it at all. It was horrible. I would just
I
be
hear
like
that a
laying
lot.
there. When
Yep.
you're an extrovert and you're by yourself and you're not spiritually or mentally ready for it, it's rough if you're really extroverted. It's a rough gig, dude. It's like also I was just like I didn't have my kids at the time. I was really tired from work and like just emotionally exhausted. I would just get home, lay down on my bed, and then just lay there for hours. It was not I don't not where God wanted me to be, but oh, there's some healing that needed to happen and things of that nature too. So luckily,
Absolutely. And on the
luckily
other
God
side
gets
of
us
that,
grace.
the introvert can't handle the groups for long periods of time.
Yep, that's true.
And
Oh,
the
sorry, go ahead.
it's the same result though. If you really think about it, you have an emotional crisis. The extrovert just has their emotional crisis by themselves because at that point there's nothing to distract the extrovert's mind and give them that buffer to process. Same thing with the introvert. In a crowd, you can't process your emotions without having a crash out. That's hard for an introvert. That's why we prefer to be by ourselves. We can emotionally regulate our own bullshit that way. I think we lost Christian again. He'll be back. But regardless, whatever you are, the equilibrium that you should be seeking is, I wouldn't say a 50-50 blend, and maybe 75-25, be 75% whatever your natural state is and engage in 25% of the opposite. Welcome back.
I got a call. This wasn't my fault.
That's okay.
We're talking about what? We were talking about extroversion, introversion, how it's kind of the same result.
Yeah,
Um,
emotionally, it's the same result, but for the introvert, it's more scary, uh, just from experience, because in a crowd, it's not socially acceptable to process your emotions.
no,
High extreme emotion, you're going to crash out in front of people, and that's just awkward for everyone. For the extrovert, that silence is
definitely.
self-destructive, but you're doing it by yourself. And we as introverts, we're like, hell yeah, give me that so I can process all my bullshit. And that's why I say it's probably best to try to balance it out in some way. I was thinking, 75% be your nature. If you're an introvert, be 75% introvert, 25% extrovert. Try to get to that level.
Yeah, find a good.
Bill says,
Trying to find.
Bill pokes holes in my theory and says the other Daniel I know is shorter than me. How dare you, Bill?
But Bill, there's one fundamental problem with all of your opinions, actually, and that is that fundamentally, especially on our show and in our lives, you are the younger brother. In our social interactions. So younger brothers get bullied. They're wrong always. So sorry, Bill. That's just it's biblical. That's how it goes, brother. It's how it goes. All right. I mean,
Poor
I
Bill.
don't. I'm not a threatening individual, but look at Cain and Abel. Look what happened there. It wasn't great, was it? No, I don't think so. Oh.
Biblical threat.
It's like I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying that John ran faster than Peter. All right. Anyway. That's maybe the funniest verse in the entire Bible because there's no reason to mention it except to kind of dig at your buddy. They're like they all ran to the tomb. Peter was slower than the others. It's like you son of a gun.
Yep.
You wrote that down. No one else wrote it down. Oh,
Well,
sorry.
I'm sure any group of men that write anything are going to take digs at each other like that. So it's only natural.
I know, but it's so funny. It's so funny that this ancient historical religious text still has it. I'm very happy it was never filtered out.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Oh, it's just a good time. But yeah, and so the show you were talking about in the beginning, are you talking about this show?
Yes.
Okay, just checking. I never clarified, and I'm like, I better just ask just to be sure. Like it's not
No,
some
you're good.
modern BS show he's talking about.
No, no, I try to keep my cultural opinion to myself and just focus on whatever the biblical topic is. Another really good verse I looked up and made a note of was in Philippians 2, 3 through 7. Do nothing out of selfishness or out of vainglory, rather humbly regard others as more important than yourselves, each looking out not for his own interests, but also everyone for those of others. Have among yourselves the same attitude that is also yours in Christ Jesus, who, though he was in the form of God, did not regard equality with God something to be grasped. Rather, he emptied himself, taking the form of a slave.
And I always thought that he did that for the purpose of kind of like the whole like Clark Kent. Sorry, I relate everything to other stories. That's just my brain. But like the
It's all
way
good.
like Superman is supposed to be like the perfect human, but Clark is supposed to be the embodiment of what man should attempt to be. Hardworking, humble, caring for his neighbors, heart like always putting others first, things of that nature. I always thought that's kind of how Christ was operating in many ways, trying to act as the example.
Absolutely. And I don't think that was it Schuster and I forget who the other guy that created Superman. Um I
Whatever
don't
Julio
think they
Jewish fella, yeah, that guy.
yeah, I don't think they intended for it to be a Christ allegory, but I think they were going for the inspiration of what a good person is when they were
And
designing this character, and it just sort of fell into place by accident. Is the whole
yeah,
idea that fascinates me about Superman is the reason he's so humble and the reason he's so concerned about everyone else is because quite literally his full power would destroy everyone. So
yeah,
by his very nature as a Kryptonian on Earth, he has to treat everyone with care or else he's just hurting people all the time.
yep, yep. And also for me, the power is less interesting than the. It's like that. That's not what makes him interesting because there's been a lot of heroes and characters who have been powerful. Heck, Johnny Douglas's character in his recent book, Lionheart, is powerful too, at least for the majority of the story. But that's not what makes a character interesting per se. It's how they respond to that and what they do. What made Superman so interesting was that essentially, in any good Superman story, he was morally uncompromising and morally incorruptible, or at least. And that's a much harder character to write in a compelling story, I think, than one with a lot more character, much more character flaws.
Yeah, but at the same time, the stories where he had his morality tested are the ones that everyone loves.
Yeah. The if I had a favorite, I'd have to say it's probably All Star Superman. That's where Superman shows his most Christ-like allegories in most of his stories. The sacrifice himself to save the son, the like, or even the conversation he had with Lex Luthor. It's kind of reverting to that. My ways are higher than your ways, like the Lord's ways. His thinking is different than our thinking. It's like once Lex Luthor could see, like Christ, like Superman, he's like, oh, wow, I can see the flow of time. I see how all these molecules work together for like single purposes and things. I'm like, yeah, you didn't see it, but it was always that way. Nothing has changed except what the way that you're seeing it. And I always thought that was a really interesting way to show that. It's like Saul giving taking away the sight of taking away the sight of Saul and then giving him a new name as Paul, and with a new vision and with a new identity going back out into the world. It's like you took a vicious murderer, a vicious killer, and someone who was killing your people, and you turned him into one of the greatest evangelists that's ever lived. That's a
Yep.
powerful story.
Just by revealing the truth. And that's what Bill's saying here. Like all great art and artists, Superman tapped into the truth, whether meaning to or not. And at
Uh,
the same time, became a model for that truth to anyone that picked up the comics and paged through them.
Yep. The fact that he was raised by Christian farmers in Kansas maybe plays a role too, but
Yes and no. I always found it to be very muted. I sort of expected there to be more of it, but instead it was always written narrative wise to be just basic
like
advice
background
from, say,
knowledge.
yeah, basic advice from, say, father to son in the case of um, John and Clark. He was just imparting the what the father had learned to the child growing up, and the child assimilated that knowledge into his own paradigm because he was, you know, you can imagine as a kid he was breaking stuff all the time because he didn't have control over his strength. And
Yeah, yeah,
there's
a lowercase god among men situation.
yeah, so
Absolutely.
there's a sort of developmental system there if you're a weirdo like I am, where you can imagine the back scenes that aren't in the comic books of him, playing with other kids and having to be consciously aware that he can't get excited to play with them or he's just gonna like
Yeah.
smash through somebody by accident.
A surprising amount of stories never dive into that aspect at all. Ironically, one that kind of did a little bit was Man of Steel. Was that manuscript of that movie? Just like these kids are bullying him like relentlessly. It's really something. It's like he could wipe him out. He could do anything. Like one moment of no self control, and it's a bad day for everyone.
Yeah, and I mean, as much as everybody gives it a little bit of flack for existing, Smallville kind of encapsulated that in a couple of really interesting interactions where Clark, knowing that if somebody struck him, he wasn't going to budge, pretended to move with being hit,
Yeah,
both to
yeah,
protect himself, but also to avoid further damaging the person. They would have broken their own hand if he did not move with it.
yeah,
That's that level of conscious understanding of the care of everyone around you is intrinsic in him because it's part of the nature of him being Superman.
yeah,
But at the same time, we all do that.
yeah. We
It's
we we
something that
all
everyone can connect to. We all think, I'm not trying to just smash my way through people in the grocery store, so I got to move around them. I've got to shift. You know, there's a level of concern for our fellow man.
and it should
Draco says, well, they wanted Superman to be the example of a good person, so they were going to tap into the truth whether they wanted to or not. Yeah, absolutely.
the unconscious aspect of it is really fascinating. The two Jewish guys made a really good Christ allegory. But yeah, no, there's that. But it's like, and also the way that manifests in men and women can be a little bit different because a very good Christian woman, is aware of how women, the power of women in the world, which is power over the social dynamic, ability to shame or cause mistrust in others and things of that nature. It's like for men, it's like, yeah, if I wanted to, I could be a bully. I absolutely could. It's like I had a conversation with people yesterday. I'm like, I'm not gonna talk threateningly. I'm not gonna be in their face. I'm not gonna use my size as an advantage, even though it obviously is, be, because that's not Christ-like. That would be me abusing what God has given me, a gift that God has given me for my own purpose or satisfaction, and That's what the verse that's what one of the commandment, taking the Lord's name in vain. It's not about saying using God's name as a swear word, even though that's bad. I always believed it was more about using what God has given you or God's authority for your own selfish purposes. That's how I always
That
read
is
that.
what it's supposed to mean. Yes. You don't use God's authority for your own selfish purpose.
Yeah, and I don't know. It's the way it's worded. I see how it's gotten misinterpreted largely, but it's a shame because it's a really valuable lesson.
Well, it's fascinating though, because if you think about it, don't take the Lord's name in vain. Everybody immediately thinks, you don't cuss with God in the intention, you know, but it literally opposes the idea and the statement that we all know, I swear to God.
Yeah, yeah,
If you the purpose of I swear to God is God knows I'm telling the truth, but most of us use it as a manipulation. Believe me because I swear to God.
yeah, and perhaps it's used less. It's actually not. That's a funny thing. I've heard, many atheists I've heard say I swear to God.
I hear it
I'm
all the
like,
time. It fascinates me.
I'm
Wait, you
like,
don't believe in God? Why are you saying that?
I think whatever is about to come out of your mouth next is BS, but we'll continue. Let's see.
Bill's going after retail and customer service here. I've learned to be very conscious of my dislike of people working in customer service. Tell us how you really feel, Bill.
And Bill, you don't dislike me ever, do you? Never.
Are you in customer service, Christian?
No, it's not, it's better and worse. I'm in construction. I've had customers threaten my guys physically before. I had one point out a tiny scratch that didn't go all the way through the paint at the bottom of the bottom half inch of a piece of metal that's surrounded by gravel, and say, "Is this the kind of work?" I've had guys poke me in the chest,
Well,
and
you
yeah.
should be perfect, sir. Everything you do should be flawless. What are we even paying you for?
It's like, your average pole barn company back in the day was like, that was considered lowest tier construction. Is like, oh, that's where the meth addicts go when they can't get work at other construction companies. That was just the way it was back in the day. Had a very poor reputation for a reason. And a few other companies out there are doing their best to maintain that reputation. I'll tell you. Oh, one man in particular, and it's not because he has malice, it's just because he's bad at math, but that's a whole different thing. Anyway,
Oh my. Just taking digs at people live on show.
it's the biblical way, all right. Anyway, uh, I'll admit I've had a couple jobs where things happen. I'm like, that's not ideal. And one time in particular, I'm like, we're just not going to address it. We're just going to move on. If I get in trouble for it someday, I get in trouble for it someday. But here we are. Anyway, that's my confession. Daniel behind the curtain of the internet. Yeah.
It's always good to confess.
On the internet, that's what the Bible teaches.
Oh yeah, yeah.
What
Publicly.
what would that be? What would that be like? What's the equivalent into like in the public square with a loud voice? Ugh. I guess
Bill
that depends on how many
says,
views this video
I
gets.
love everyone by holy mandate. But don't worry, Kahuna, you're one of the few I also like.
Oh, yay! Thanks, Bill. If I ever start
So
losing my hair, I'm gonna commission you to shave yours off so I have a proper wig again.
we'll call it locks of dislike.
Yeah, and it's not locks of love; it's locks of reluctance. That's what it is. It's like, oh, you're shaving your head for some poor child with cancer? Not exactly.
Well, to bring it back full circle, that's actually a really good service to others. You're giving of yourself.
Ugh, it's
Bill
true. I
says,
just
I
don't.
don't like that very much. I don't like anyone that much.
Bill, what you're saying is that you don't like the way you look if you shaved your head and shaved your beard at once. Man, it's a rough thing. I shaved my beard all the way recently. My girlfriend's like, "Wow." I'm like, "Thanks, appreciate it."
It's a
No, she
guy
just,
thing. We all end up baby faced if we shave.
yeah, yeah. It's not. It doesn't help when you're fat too. I don't think, but that's a whole different thing.
It's true.
Ugh.
Makes your face very round. Beards
Yeah,
have a
just like,
tendency to give it like shape, you know?
or like the false shape. I remember one buddy of mine. I'm like, he grew out his beard and he started shaping. I'm like, I know what your jawline looks like, dude. You're not fooling me. I know it. I've seen it. Oh man, this conversation went way off the rails. I guess that's a your average Christian Kahuna conversation.
Yeah, I let you take over for the last 6 or 7 minutes just for fun. But
Oh,
anyways,
I have one more thing. Did you see
oh,
that
okay.
statement by that Orthodox priest a while back talking about, was it Orthodox? I can't remember, but he's talking about how it's homosexual to it's considered homosexual to shave because that makes you look more feminine, and if you're trying to look more feminine, that means you think you're a woman, and that's anti-Bible. Did you see that? Or
I didn't see that, but it's making my brain hurt.
I know.
I mean, that's such a long leap. It needs to be recorded.
Yeah, it's on the internet too. It's probably BS, but I've heard some, especially in foreign countries like Catholic and Protestant and like Orthodox uh, teachers in other countries. Sometimes they get real wild with some of their opinions. I'm like, that's really extreme. But all right, go off, King. Sure.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, I think the purpose of initially to that sort of ethos is what we're talking about here. It's a way to maybe guideline some service of the community, the culture, what have you. But unfortunately, never underestimate the stupidity of humans in large groups. They it just gets taken too far.
Yeah, yeah. No, I completely agree.
Bill's smelling burnt toast.
Wait, doesn't that mean you're having a stroke? Or am I
Yeah.
getting that mixed up? I'm having a stroke. It's like, sorry, say that again. I can't understand you. He's getting worse. Dang it. Must be drunk. Anyway. So- oh,
All right, I'm stealing the show back now.
go ahead, go ahead. I'm sorry. Let's make fun of people with disabilities. Happy show, Daniel.
Yeah. We've got about 10 minutes left. I'm going to take it over just to wrap things up.
Bring it
Uh,
back in.
but yeah, the ultimate premise past all of the comedy here of what we've been talking about for those who tuned in late is, in my perspective, and sort of tested through conversations that I've had with people, your value in society is unfortunately not within your control. And everything that you want out of your life, as far as that sort of validation, is better served in seeking to care for others. Acts of service, a mind towards the betterment of the people around you, is going to get you what you want a lot faster than the stereotypical of the day stomping your feet and demanding everyone acknowledge how awesome you are.
Yeah, whether it's money you seek or attention, it all comes from the same desire. You're trying. A lot of it ultimately comes down to wanting validation from the world that killed Christ, ultimately as well. I don't recommend
I
it.
don't think it's bad to want validation from the world around you. I think social media has kind of derailed some very basic normal truths in such a grand scale. Like I said, large groups of humans, bad idea. You know, the internet is literally the largest group of humans that could possibly come together, and we see all the bad ideas in real time every second of the day just by scrolling. But validation within your social network, your society, what have you, I don't believe that's a bad thing so much. The trap is that when you're trying to demand that validation rather than deserve it. To deserve it means that you're contributing to your community. It means that you're giving more than you're trying to take. I mean, the fundamental basis of how God designed our entire world is we give more than we take so that there is abundance.
Yeah,
You know,
and
you
plus
eat
no
food
man is an
to
island
grow
in this
more
infinity
food.
either.
Yeah,
Like without like no matter how strong you are, without community, nobody succeeds long term, in my opinion. Community is what allows strong individuals to become stronger. It's what allows the weak individuals, hopefully, to become, at least sustainable by some measure. And
well, the
it's
weak
that,
can become strong if they're interested in doing so, but it's a bit more of a fast track when like you've got a mentor or you've got a group of people that are helping you become strong. It's far harder to do it by yourself. I mean, you can build a house alone, but it's going to take you a really long time, and
it's
you're
going
going
to
to
be
have quite
a
a few
royal
nights.
pain.
Yeah, and you're going to have quite a few nights of sleeping in the rain. But if you get a group of people together, you cut that time down. That's why we have a men's group.
Yeah, iron sharpens iron. You can sharpen iron on a rock if you look long enough and try hard enough, but iron sharpens better against itself, essentially.
That's fair. Such an overused thing though these days. I see it
I
all the time, and I'm like, it starts to lose its meaning the more people bandy it around.
that's the contrarian in you, Daniel. It's in me too, but I saw your face.
I
I'm like,
know.
you're like it's over you. I'm like, don't be that grumpy old man you warned us about.
I gotta let the grump out a little bit every
A
now and then.
little bit, a little bit. I don't mind that as much. I mind things language changes that make no sense. Like in recent years, everybody around me has started calling the ground the floor, and it's driving me nuts. Absolutely nuts. I'm like, it's not the floor, guys. Floor is inside, ground is outside. Get it right. Call it the street, call it anything, but don't call it the floor. Like walking down a nasty needle-filled street in Tacoma. It's the floor. I'm like, no floor of mine has needles on it. All right. Anyway, not derailing. We're back.
Yeah, we're back again. Second derailment of the day. But I understand what you're talking about. It used to drive me crazy too, especially when you're outside. Like I used to have family reunions. Most of it would be outside, grilling, hanging out, throwing lawn darts and stuff like that. And somebody inevitably would be like, pick that up off the floor. And I'm like, that's the grass. It's not even the ground, it's the grass. There's grass in the way.
I have a question. Maybe you could give me a quick answer, and maybe we could talk about it at another time as well. But because it's not an easy, quick answer, but uh, how much, how valuable is learning Christian apologetics for your average Christian? And should it be something that every Christian eventually moves into, or at least understands, in
That
your
is a big
opinion?
question.
I know. Luckily, we have lots of time to discuss it.
That might have to be another Coffee and Christ episode, honestly. I can give you a short answer to your second question, which is everyone absolutely should at some point. Yes. But to
Yeah.
get into the first question, that's at least a whole nother hour of discussion. And we
I
only
figured
have 4 minutes or so.
4 minutes. I figured I'd save it right for the end. It's it's like no pressure. Answer this really big, deep, philosophical, like multi-century long question in 4 minutes. Go.
uh, you're just trying to goad me into staying live for another hour.
I know. I don't have time either, though. So I screwed the pooch on for both of us here. But no,
It's all
I think that would be a good thing to discuss at some point because I used to not put almost I used to put very little importance or emphasis on apologetics and its importance. The ability to debate, I think it's just because I don't like that kind of conflict, which is what I saw it as. But my perspective on it has shifted in recent times because I'm a much more emotionally driven person. It's like the logic of things doesn't matter to me as much. It does matter to some degree, but not as much as like say you for certain. But I always thought that for most people, it's going to be a heart posture issue. It's going to be a heart issue coming to Christ. But I've met enough people as I've gotten older. I'm like, actually, no, the apologetics, it is important because there are a lot of people who the emotional thing has nothing to do, has very little to do with it, at least initially. And they're
yeah.
much more, they need to understand things. And so there is a place for it to get into apologetics and also do it in love, in a loving, Christ-like way is a hard thing to do, and what that means will change depending on who you ask, because I have asked other people. So I think I'm very curious to see if we can get the boys together, have a conversation about it at some
Yeah,
point.
I think we'll discuss doing that after Michael and Jonathan get back from the bachelor weekend. Bill says a basic understanding is good, mainly because apologetics will expose the Christian to conflicting opinions and beliefs. That is always good for anyone. And I couldn't have said it better myself. The joy of group discussion, they used to call it quorum, I believe, way back in the day, is in being able to process other people's opinions and other people's perspectives on base concepts in order to better know those concepts. And I think that's what makes the apologetics so important, but it also makes them, in a certain sense, dangerous because I think humans in general, not even Christians, just people in general, struggle with any opposition to something that they believe in.
I've seen conversations about apologetics turn into nasty barbs back and forth as well, which I think that again, that's not really like Christ threw out his barbs here and there, but I think that has to be navigated with a really careful hand. Is that like because we're not God, we're not Christ. I'm not saying there's never a place for that kind of discussion, but it's a really I think it's a tricky thing to navigate, and I would be really hesitant to go the nasty direction, or not even like go the harsher direction when it comes to those kind of conversations. Especially because I know the plank in my own eye isn't insubstantial itself, so there's that.
That's absolutely fair. Draco says, I do want to meet and discuss over barbecue. That would be fantastic. And we definitely need to put something together in the near future for the group.
I know a few of us are going to a certain place at some point. Well, a little bit later this year. That'd be a
That
small
is true.
opportunity, but yeah.
For those of you not aware, many of us have overlap with another group, another community, and Jared and I wrote a screenplay for a film that we are working on. We'll be directing and recording the scenes in November, and a lot of people will be descending upon that location to meet with us and hang out for the after party. as well as be extras and some with speaking parts in the film. It's going to be awesome. But we have reached our hour. So, Kahuna, where can everybody find you?
You could find me in an alleyway in Olympia at about 3 p.m. every no. You can find me online as the Ultimate Kahuna. I'm going to be starting a few other YouTube
The
channels.
ultimate
One,
hooker.
yeah, that's me, brother. Yeah, they call me Sista in the street. Anyway, I can't say that. Lord
This
Almighty,
is a
help me.
Christian show, Christian.
I am a Christian named Christian. Now, you can find me at the Ultimate Kahuna on Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, and even TikTok for some for some reason. But I must depart, my friends. Daniel, thank you for having me on, and God bless
Anytime,
you.
brother. Well, as most of you know, I am Daniel P. Riley,
Hey, buddy. Is that
writing
your
coach
new
and
outfit?
editor.
Looks good.
You can
The
reach
show's
out to
over, buddy.
me through
I know. Oh, excuse me.
through whimsyland.org, or you can find me on X at Mr. DP Riley. If you are interested in joining our men's group, feel free to reach out to anybody through those socials and ask for an invite, get involved in the conversations. But the most important thing that I can leave you with is this: get thee to church. We'll see you guys in 2 weeks.